Hello, everyone. That's kind of Sticks, Hex, and Hammers opening. I don't want to be a Sticks hack. Um, I went by this skate park today. I was in a municipal recreation type of area, and I went past this skate park, and it kind of brought up some pain because I either have a lot of regret over how I spent my childhood and adolescence, or else what they call a nostalgia for a past that never existed. Um, I can, come up with lots of excuses as to why my childhood and adolescence wasn't exactly what I wanted it to be, or wasn't as happy as I would have liked it to be. But that's sort of like coming up with a whole lot of excuses for why my marriage isn't working well right now, or why I'm living in a tent, or why I'm trying to teach a anti-Jordan Peterson Nietzsche lecture course from my car. Um, so I was like, I think, I was really born autistic. I was always very clumsy, very uncoordinated, very anxious. I mean, I had, I was fairly autistic, and I had very severe OCD pretty much from birth, pretty severe OCD. So I was sort of clumsy, sort of uncoordinated, sort of shy, sort of not very socially confident. My parents were mostly evil, not entirely evil. I'd say like 80% evil. And they certainly didn't know how to handle a different child like me, a child who was really different, was neurodivergent. I mean, this was, I was born in 1980, so this was long before autism was cool. Um, it's funny. Like when I was in Florida, I was doing this comedy set at a kava bar, because they have a lot of kava bars down south. And the neurodivergent bartender, I don't know if she's a bartender or just a kava server, was offended by some of the jokes I made. So she went out of her way to sort of scuttle my comedy career at this kava bar. And I was like, bitch. I was like, I was autistic way before it was cool. What are you, like all of 20 years old? Look, I was supra autistic before you were even born. Like, you think you have it tough? Autism is cool now. Try growing up in New Jersey. Try being neurodivergent and growing up in New Jersey through the entirety of the 80s and 90s. There were a lot of navigations that were quite difficult, and nobody knew what autism was back then. Nobody knew really what OCD was back then. Nobody knew how to handle those things back then. So I'm like, I worked hard, and I kind of fit in with some people here or there, and a lot of times I felt like I was left out. But then in high school, at times I felt like I kind of fit in. I think a lot of people liked me because I was a character. But I was like, I really should have gotten much more involved in physical culture. Even though I was clumsy and uncoordinated, I should have tried skateboarding, or I should have tried out with more sports. I think I was kind of screwed up by the movie, not to make any more excuses, but I think I was kind of screwed up by the movie Revenge of the Nerds, because it seemed like you couldn't be smart unless you were basically a physical invalid. Like, if like you couldn't be smart unless you were like physically weak and awkward. But I'm like, but then we think about one version of the Greeks, since according to Essential Salts on his YouTube channel, we don't really know what the Greeks were, but we have this classical image of the Greeks as being both brains and bodies. Whereas Revenge of the Nerds, I think I read this in this cuck sensitive male website called the Good Men Project. Revenge of the Nerds had the body spirit, the body mind dichotomy, got all Cartesian and shit. So the body is the mind is the body. As I've gotten older, and maybe I don't have the potential to push it as hard as I did when I was 20. Like, I'm in better shape now, I think, than when I was 20, because I didn't work out when I was 20. But if I had worked out when I was 20, obviously I'd be in much better shape than I am working out now. But now that I'm older, I see the importance of physical culture. Like, even when I was in Florida, I was doing jiu-jitsu, and I was clumsy, I was uncoordinated, I was stiff. See, I've never been good at dancing either, because I've always been very stiff and inhibited, very like in my head, self-conscious. And with the way I was raised I was raised on a bed of eggshells. My whole body was very stiff. Our jiu-jitsu coach, Coach Tommy, said he never met anyone as stiff as me. And I'm not talking about my woody. I'm talking about my physical stiffness. He's like, feel how stiff he is. He can't even move his arm. So, in jiu-jitsu, I was clumsy, I was uncoordinated, I was stiff, just like I am with dancing. With dancing, I'm clumsy, uncoordinated, and stiff. But in jiu-jitsu, I at least got their respect because I was tough. So that's why I was always kind of good at fighting, but I was never good at playing sports. 'Cause I'm kind of tough. You know, I can kind of take a lot of pain. You know, like in jiu-jitsu, I just wouldn't quit until somebody was about to break my arm or choke me unconscious. Like, I just kept fighting and fighting and fighting, you know, because I have heart, you know. I'm clumsy and I'm uncoordinated and I'm stiff and I'm awkward and I'm inhibited and I'm self-conscious, but God damn it, I have heart.